So, Steve, as you may already be aware of, we're a movie podcast, right?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. And you know what movie people like to do when they watch a movie? They like to chow down on some poppy corn, some popped corn, right?
Right. I've heard of this.
Mm-hmm. I got some news for you here. You know, you've seen popular movie popcorn brand Act 2 on the shelves, right?
Uh-huh.
You might or might not know this, but there was also an Act 1 popcorn at one point. Did you know about this?
Tell me about it.
Okay, Act 1 popcorn was actually a refrigerated popcorn because it had actual butter in the box, right? So whenever you microwaved it, it would be actual butter in the bag and stuff, but you had to keep it refrigerated.
Okay.
Act 2 was their scientific revolution where they figured out how to put a artificial butter in the bag and it doesn't require refrigeration, right?
Okay.
I'm just putting it out there. You know, the times, they are a-changing. Things are always moving. People are always gravitating towards those new trends and stuff like that, as we know.
Uh-huh.
And I want people to know they heard it first right here on Dead and Lovely, the greatest horror movie review podcast in the world. I'm just going to go ahead and roll out the debut of Act 3.
Okay.
Which
what
is,
happens in Act 3?
It's a vape popcorn. It's the popcorn that you vape. Act 3. And you heard about it here first. On Dead and Lovely, the greatest podcast that there is. Here with the host with the most. It's me, your good buddy, Uncle Ben.
Me, Hollywood Steve, vaping popcorn over here.
Yeah, you over there just vaping that corn. Old corn vaping Steve, they call him.
That's what they say.
I bet that somewhere out there, though, there is like just a corn-flavored vape, right?
Oh, there has to be. And somebody buys it and loves it. You got my corn-flavored vape bath there, don't you?
It would just be so surreal to be hanging out in front of a gas station or something like that, and you walk through a cloud of someone's vape, and you're like, is that just corn? Like, it's literally just corn.
He just
what?
Nods at you. Aye, laddie. What? Who is this?
Where am I? How you been doing this week, Steve?
Man, I've been kicking it. I've been getting stuff done, been having a good time. How about yourself?
TCB, baby, TCB. Just another week of taking care of business and taking in some flicks, including the topic of today's show, Little Monsters. We're going to be reviewing that thing later on after we shoot the shit, catch up, talk about what we've been watching, chug on a co-beer, enter the preview palace and all that stuff. But if you just want to get to the movie review portion, there's a timestamp for you.
It's down there. Just go ahead.
You don't have to hang out with us and waste your time being one of the cool kids or whatever. If you're just looking for a yes or no, yes, watch it. It's good.
Watch it, yes.
Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next
week. See you guys later. Bing, wang, wong.
But yeah, click on that timestamp if you want to just find out where to go to get to the movie review. But before we do that, Steve, I've been watching myself some things and doing some stuff this week that I just want to tell you about. I want to tell you about them.
Let's hear about it.
All right. Now, Steve, one of my favorite Christmas presents that I got from my wife for a Christmas is the recently published Last Book on the Left by the homies over at Last Podcast on the Left.
Right.
Which is fantastic. I blew through the whole thing. It's just detailing the lives and crimes of about 8 or 9 different serial killers through the modern age. It was a fascinating read. They did a great job. I'm a huge fan of that podcast. They do great work. And, you know, one of the chapters in there that I really got stuck on, of course, is the chapter about old Jeffrey D. I'm talking about our boy, Jeff Dahmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nutty guy, nuttier than squirrel poo, real wild guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, since I read that, I then kind of got like re-fascinated, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
And did some deep diving, and I've just been doing a lot more research and stuff about him, and even listened to some other like crime podcasts about the life of Dahmer and stuff. And something really struck me as I was doing all this research and reading about Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff. It's just something that I hadn't even really considered before because, you know, I think we all know the life and crimes of Jeffrey Dahmer, noted man killer, child killer, cannibal, part-time cannibal, full-time drinker. He liked to party.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve, here's what I was thinking about, because this is just an angle I hadn't really considered, okay?
All right.
When you think about your average day in the life of Jeffrey Dahmer. You've just worked a shift, working the mixer at the Ambrosia Chocolate Company, mixing up the chocolate. Jeffrey Dahmer in the chocolate factory, very scary thought. You go home, begin boozing hardcore.
Duh.
You leave your apartment or leave your grandmother's basement. You go to one of the many nightclubs and stuff that he would frequent. You get in the door, you're buying some drinks, you meet a guy, you also buy him some drinks and stuff. Then he would proceed to go and like rent a motel. We know where it goes from there, fucking kills him. Dismembers them. You know, he's got like the barrel. He soaks the bodies in muriatic acid and all this stuff. You know, we're talking about even going and buying suitcases to stuff bodies in and all that jazz. And the fact is that he was able to do all of that on what had to be the meager salary of somebody who was just mixing chocolate for a living at a factory. Man, the economy back then was just crazy easy to succeed in.
It was. It really was. To get rid of serial killers. Kicking with tons of money.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, can you imagine trying to get all of that stuff done that Jeffrey did in today's economy on a meager salary?
He got 2 jobs. You know, maybe that's what it was. They were like, oh, we'll tank wages.
I got too much free time on their hands, right?
Yeah.
Huh, yeah, if you keep them busy, they won't have time to do all the boy killing and stuff like that. I think you're right, man, because seriously, if you have a part-time job, I don't even think you can support being a full-time alcoholic.
No, I don't know how you would. You could support being a part-time alcoholic, for sure.
Oh, yeah. You could make like a hobby of it, but you couldn't go full pro with it, right?
Yeah.
It was a simpler time back then, Steve, a simpler time. The dollar really went a lot farther.
It did, toward murder.
But, you know, other than reading that book and stuff, I did have time to watch some movies. Not a lot of horror stuff this week, Steve, but I've watched a lot of things.
What you been watching?
Want me to tell you about them?
Tell me all about it.
You ever heard of A Gone in 60 Seconds with Nick Cage?
Yes.
Because I watched that for the first time since probably, like, high school.
Uh-huh. And how'd you feel about it?
It's a treat.
It
is a treat of a movie. It's a good time. That's one of those ones that, like, back whenever it came out, I kind of poo-pooed on because I was like, I just read Fight Club.
I'm so much smarter than this. Yeah. I get it.
You know? I listen to Dream Theater. This is beneath me. But, dude, nowadays, if you can't watch Nicolas Cage and his crew stealing some cars and have a good time, you might be a redneck.
Well, you might not be a redneck.
You might not be a redneck.
There you go. I was going to say, I don't know if you'd run into any redneck who doesn't like Gone in 60 Seconds. Unless he's like, it took them too long. Should have been gone in 45.
Didn't steal enough Fords. Yeah, it's a blast, man. That's a really fun movie. I'll tell you one that I watched from around that same era that turned out to not be a blast so much as I remembered. Rewatch Twister.
Uh-huh. Not great, right?
I'm telling you what, not a lot happens in that movie.
No.
Not a lot happens. Like, when you think about Twister, you're thinking about, like, Bill Paxton and No Way Down and Humans Being and that jamming soundtrack.
Yeah.
Then you watch the movie and you're just like, well, there's some people trying to get this thing up in this storm, and they miss it a few times, and then they get it.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
The movie somehow inspired a bunch of people to want to be storm chasers.
That it did. It did not have that effect on me.
How it didn't bore them before they decided to become storm chasers. Like,
yeah.
I've never been a Twister fan, so I'm glad to hear that watching it with perspective, you can see that it's not great. It's just boring. It's there's not a lot that happens. The storm parts are cool, but they're few and far between.
Oh, and they're not aging gracefully, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
They're not aging gracefully. That was like one of the big draws, I think, for that movie back in the day, is it was just like, oh my God, they didn't harm any actual tornadoes in the making of this movie. And it's like, you watch it now and it looks pretty shot, man.
Yeah.
The cast is like ginormous.
Oh,
though.
absolutely.
Everybody is
Philip
in that
Seymour
thing.
Hoffman and Helen Hunt and all of them, yeah.
Dread Pirate Roberts is in there, man.
Uh-huh.
Got everybody in there. But yeah, just overall, not good. It just goes to show you, like, nostalgia doesn't necessarily tinge everything. Because I know that is a movie I watched a million times back in the day, and I loved it. I go back now, and I'm like, yeah, this just kind of sucks.
Yep. Yeah, you get into, I think with some movies, when it comes to nostalgia, like, you get into a groove with them. Maybe they came on a channel a whole bunch, so you've seen them a lot, but, like, never fully paid attention.
Yeah.
And then, like, when you finally do fully pay attention, it's like, wait, what? Why am I watching this?
Totally. I'm thinking back, and I'm like, maybe what I really liked was the soundtrack and just hanging out with my friends, which is probably what I was doing while we were watching it.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a fun time.
Yeah, I think so too, man. So I've made like a little bit of a decision recently that I should start getting into some Westerns, because Westerns are a genre I've primarily ignored. My wife and her family are all about Westerns and stuff, and that's just one of those things I've never really been interested in. Like, I love Tombstone. Tombstone's fucking amazing, obviously. And, I think I'm trying to ease myself into it by watching some of those ones that are like, yeah, it's a Western, but it's like a little bit more modern, a little bit more fun. Like the other week there, I watched The Quick and the Dead. That was fun.
That's a good one, right?
This week, we decided to kind of put a toe in the water, try to ease me in a little bit. This isn't exactly a Western, but it has Western elements, and it's one that I somehow made it through my entire life up to now without seeing. Fucking City Slickers.
Oh, really? You haven't seen City Slickers?
I'd never seen it. I had never fucking seen it.
How was it? How'd it hold up?
I had a good time, man. I had a good time watching it. There's elements in there that are like also not aging very gracefully. Definitely not going to pass a Bechdel test or anything like that anytime soon. But it was still like enjoyable and had a lot of heart. And now I get to watch City Slickers 2.
You're going to go search for Curly's Gold?
Search for Curly's Gold.
It's still out there. If anybody's looking for gold.
Yeah, if you need some, go find some. Yeah, I had a good time with it, though. It was an enjoyable one. I also, man, now that I think about it, I have really just been stuck in that decade this week, because I also watched fucking Tommy Boy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I have seen Tommy Boy more recently because my wife loves Tommy Boy.
Yeah. That's one of those ones that, like, so many people from our age group just fucking worship that movie. You know what the conclusion I came to was? I don't think I've ever watched
the whole
Tommy
movie?
Boy.
Yeah.
No.
Tommy Boy is a movie I've seen lots of parts of along the way, because it used to come on a ton on something back in the day. Rewatching it, I kind of felt the same way. It was like, wait, what was this about again?
Because the thing is like, I remembered scenes from it and stuff, like the deer scene and all that jazz. Like, I remembered all that, but like, if you'd have asked me, what is Tommy Boy actually about? I'd have been like, actually, I don't know.
Selling brake pads, right?
Selling brake pads. Yeah, that's what the movie's about. Yeah, it was enjoyable, man. It's also, again, one of those things where it's just like, okay, how many times is the joke going to be, have you noticed Chris Farley is fat? Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
But, man, he was absolutely a treasure, man. He was fucking amazing.
He was. That movie and Black Sheep were basically the same movie. It seems to me. I know that Black Sheep is about politics and Tommy Boy is about brake pads, but pretty much the same movie. Pretty
much the same movie. Yeah, maybe I should watch that one next and see how that holds up.
Yeah.
Last night for our Documonday documentary watching experience, we watched Crazy Not Insane, which is on HBO.
Oh, I haven't heard of this.
Which was pretty fascinating, man. It was all about like the brains of serial killers and how early head traumas and stuff like this could inspire monsters.
So that is a big indicator.
Oh yeah. And it also dealt a lot with what we now recognize as like DID, like dissociative identity disorder, what back then they would have called multiple personality disorder, and the role that it might play in the thought process and actions. The main like psychiatrist and stuff that was in it was one of the people that also interviewed like Ted Bundy and some other heavy hitters. So it was a pretty interesting watch. It was put together really well. I would recommend checking that out.
Awesome.
And then the only horror movie that I watched this week, boy, I made sure it was a good one, Steve, because I watched Night of the Demons, the 2009 remake that I didn't know existed.
Never mind. I was excited.
Yeah, it's like, good, not good. Oh my God, man. It is just fucking terrible. Like, I figured that it would be bad, you know?
Yeah, that's my assumption, it would be terrible. So, is that true?
Oh, dude, it's so fucking bad. But it's not even, like, fun bad. Like, oh my God, this is so terrible. Because even, like, the original Night of the Demons, I love that movie,
Yes,
but it is
it's
absolutely a, like, this is so ridiculous and over the top and fucking 80s
silly.
that it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This has, like, Edward Furlong in it. So it's like automatically, okay, this is just not fun.
Yeah.
It was very terrible. I do not recommend watching that one, but maybe you got some recommendations what I should check out this week, Steve.
I do. I have some good ones. And I'll hold the best for last.
Ooh.
I watched Synchronic with that with the Falcon and Christian Grey in it.
I don't know nothing about that.
Oh, well, okay. So you haven't seen Resolution or The Endless, and we're gonna have to remedy that at some point.
Fix me up, Daddy-O.
This is in the same universe as those two movies. The Resolution, The Endless, and Synchronic all share a universe, but they're all separate movies. But they're all like they illuminate each other. Basically, it's a pretty cool bit, but Synchronic involves time travel, and is fun, and I enjoyed it.
Does he go back in time and his own mom wants to bang him? Because that's my kind of time travel movie.
Yeah. I also watched Sputnik, which is a Russian sci-fi horror movie.
I heard this was good.
It is good. It's very much Russian. Like,
very Russian,
They speak all sorts of Russian in it. They don't speak any English. It's crazy.
Is all of the gore borscht?
It is. It comes out and you're like, is that beets? Are those carrots? Is that chicken?
Beet liquid. That man was full of beet liquid.
But yeah, Sputnik is well worth a watch, and I was surprised that the alien looks so good, because I'm pretty sure all CGI. I'm not positive, but looked good.
Did it turn you into one of them damn old red communists there, comrade?
He did. As I was watching it, I was like, oh boy, I want to live in the USSR. It's set in the USSR. So
that's what you say when you decide you want to be communist. I want to live in the USSR.
Well, I said that long ago, so.
Is Zangief in it?
There was no guy that looked like Zangief, and that was a problem I had with it. As most Russians look like Zangief.
Yeah, I would assume so anyway, right?
Yep. As they ride around on their bear.
How many spinning pile drivers were in the movie,
6, but not enough.
Ooh.
But 6.
Well, okay, so Zangief was still there in spirit. If there were some pile drivers, what spun?
She did, like, the main character did say, "This is for Zangief."
That's pretty good. I'll take it.
I also watched Alien Covenant, which I've put off for a few years.
Oh my god, dude. I can't believe, for one, that, like, you're just now getting around to it, but also now that you've watched it, and which I saw it when it came out, I'm also like, man, I'm so sorry that you watched that.
Yeah. It's, you know what, honestly, no worse than Prometheus. But
I
they're
can't
both
argue
terrible.
with that.
They're
man,
both bad.
Dude. Did you like the absolute disrespect to the what's her name from the first one from Prometheus, where they're just like, where's she? She died.
Yeah,
that's it.
I performed experiments on her.
Yeah, off-screen non-death. Like, wow, cool.
Yeah, it really was just full of dumb characters making dumb decisions, and then xenomorphs.
Yeah.
It's just hard to care about.
But not even like cool xenomorphs. Like, so fucking many xenomorphs that it wasn't even surprising. And it was what did they call him? The Bishop or whatever they called that particular alien? I can't remember.
Oh, right. I didn't pay enough attention. Yes, but I know what you're talking. The big one at the end, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
man. It's not good. Like, I was so hopeful with the Prometheus thing. I remember when Prometheus came out, like, we watched it and I was like, man, that sucked, but it must have been on me because, God, really, Scott's awesome and I love Aliens, so maybe I did a bad when I watched it. So I did all kinds of, like, rationalizing and mental gymnastics to try to make that movie make sense. And then finally I went all the way back around again where I was like, no, it's just bad.
No, it's just bad. Yeah, you plumbed the depths and found absolutely it's just terrible. And yeah. So don't recommend. But the most important movie I watched all year so far, Ben.
Whoa.
Psycho Goreman.
I have been hearing so many people tell me that this movie is straight up my alley. Might even be my street.
It's straight up everybody's alley, I hope. Because if you're not up that alley, I'm worried about you. It is.
Oh, man.
Hellraiser meets Power Rangers. It is comedy. It's honestly probably kid friendly, depending on what level your kid's at.
Yeah.
It's absurd. It's hilarious. It's gory as hell. It's so good. I loved it.
Damn, man. Yeah, I keep hearing that it's just amazing and is like very much a love letter to like 80s horror and monster flicks and stuff, right?
Yeah. It reminded me of Venture Brothers, actually, in some ways, as it continually introduces these interestingly designed characters and never gives you background on them. It's just like, here's all these characters, and then somebody might say a name or something, and you're like, oh, that one's name is Cassius 3000. Got it. Why does he have a robot bird? I don't understand.
It sounds kind of like Fury Road in that way, where there's just like bonkers characters, and it's just like, I don't know, you figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. It's got that going for it, but it's also just so fucking funny. The main characters are kids, and they're awesome. They're like good characters and good actors, just exactly what you want. I cannot sing its praises enough, and by the time this comes out, hopefully everybody's already seen it, because it's so good.
Damn, man. Even the poster looked really cool.
It's rad, isn't it? It's so cool.
Yeah. It looks like something I totally would have seen on the shelves at Video West back when I was a kinder kid. Yeah,
that's exactly what I feel like they were going for, is just like that feeling that you had as a 80s, 90s kid walking through the horror section and looking at all the boxes.
Nice.
It's great. I loved it. So
what's it on right now? Is it streaming?
It's rentable on Amazon. It's there was a Shudder production card at the beginning, so I assume it's going to be on Shudder soon enough.
Okay, cool, man. Well, I will definitely check it out, because it just seems like everybody that I know that's into horror has just been in love with this thing. I've not seen anybody be like, yeah, it sucked or anything, you know?
I haven't either. So I can't imagine. If somebody just absolutely hated it, probably be somebody who's just disconnected from that feeling entirely. Maybe somebody who was born...
They might be redneck.
They might very well. Actually, no, again, this is something rednecks would
love. So I should get right into it.
Get right into it. Hell yeah.
Well, Steve, I've got a recommendation for you. I don't know if you're ready for this, but I think it's something that you're really going to like. It's actually located on your right side. It's a big brown bottle that's full of liquid beer.
Liquid beer. That's my favorite type of beer.
There's one over there. Do you see it?
And I'm just going to pour it into this glass, as I had already done.
I recommend that you put this into your face, because today we are both drinking another Buddy beer. We joined up for this one here. This is a Maine brewing company from Freeport, Maine. This is their Wolf's Neck IPA. I wish that it was... what's Danzig's tattoo? Wolf's blood? I wish it was a wolf's blood.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah! It's a 6.5%, and this thing is so fucking good. We've done a couple beers from Maine Brewing Company on the show before. We've done their lunch and dinner IPAs. Maybe we did the Peeper or something like that. I can't remember. This one, as far as like just a standalone drinking a beer to have yourself a good time with a beer in your hand and all up in your face, this might be my favorite one for just a standalone drinking beer.
Okay. I'm excited then.
Yeah, because the lunch and the dinner are both absolutely amazing beers, and they pair so nicely with food because they're not like super, super mega boldly flavored, like where it's just going to overpower your meal, you know, your food meal. This one right here is one you just want to drink on its own. You don't want no food clouding up your palate while you're sipping on a Wolf's Neck. You heard it here first.
So it smells nice and hoppy. I like that.
Yes.
We'll have to get me a little taste of it here.
Oh, yeah, man. And again, this is one of those IPAs that, as I've been talking about for the past couple months, it just tastes like a really hoppy beer, and that's what I'm really into right now. It doesn't taste like it has a fucking, quart of Fruity Pebbles in the mash or anything like that. It just tastes like a really nice hoppy pale ale. What do you think about that?
It's really clean, but it's like there's like so much going on. It's like a full-on experience of taste. Like just like
it's got a little maltiness on the back.
Yeah, it's like it's got that hoppiness, it's got that maltiness. It's like well balanced. I mean, that's exactly what we've said about every main beer company beer, I think, is well balanced. It's well balanced.
Yeah. The thing about it is with this one and with the lunch and the dinner and all the other ones too that you're talking about their balance level, which I completely agree with. I think the cool thing about it is that they are balanced but not boring. Like that could be this company's fucking slogan.
Yeah, it's definitely got a distinct flavor. Good and hoppy. I like it. It's like an experience, as I said. It's just like a whole bunch of tastes, but like really balanced.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's like a little bit funky and hoppy and a little bit sweet up front, but then that kind of gives way to a little bit of bitterness on the back end, which is great. I feel like IPAs aren't bitter like they used to be, and I know that is my. A little bit, yeah. I think a lot of it's that my palate's getting fried. You know,
that's true.
But I think also too, it's just that a lot of IPAs don't do that anymore because they're just like fucking sugar bomb, fruit flavored beer drinks a lot of the times. So I like the fact that this gives me a little bitter beer face.
You've been drinking some not Keystone.
That's right. It reminds me of a not Keystone. That's how I would review this beer. Yeah, it's not Keystone-y like at all.
Yeah, no, this is really good. I honestly, you said it doesn't have to go with food, but I bet this would be good with a steak or anything else rich, anything kind of rich to counterbalance the different hoppy and malty levels. I could see that working.
Yeah, something just like nice and simple like that. That would probably work out pretty damn well, man. Yeah, it's a tasty cold beer. Maine Brewing Company knows what the fuck is up. I'll tell you that. Do. I'll tell you that, man.
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're enjoying that, Steve. And now I would like to just usher this show onward into that little section of the show that we call the Preview Palace.
Ma'am, may I see your ticket? D5? All right, we're going to take you right over here. You're going to be in the center seat.
Thank you.
That right there, that's
wonderful.
The Preview Palace. Welcome.
Oh, thanks. It's great to be here. It's great to be here in the Preview Palace. That was very cordial. That was a nice, cordial, smooth entry into the Preview Palace.
I like to invite them in.
That's right, man. Make it a welcoming atmosphere, right? All are welcome. All are welcome. And you know what, Steve? This movie that we're talking about today, Little Monsters, concerns a group of kinder kids that are on a field trip to a petting zoo, and then zombies start just running around all crazy nuts all over the thing.
Zombies at a petting zoo?
Mm-hmm. And so given that is the subject matter of the movie, my wife had the idea that we should take a little minute here before we get into the review and tell these bustas about some memorable field trips from our days as youths. And this is something that I'm excited to explore with you, Steve, because as a lot of our longtime listeners know, and some of our first-time listeners might not know, I was a homeschool.
Yeah, I'm super excited to hear about your field trips as a homeschool.
I'm going to tell you what, you're going to be blown away by how not all that exciting they are. But it'll be interesting. And also, too, like, I'm really excited to hear about some public school field trips because I just seem to always hear my public school friends talk about going to fucking space camp and doing all kinds of cool stuff. And I was like, man, that sounds a lot cooler than my school field trips with my mom and brother.
Well, why don't I just go ahead and start with, I went to the NASA Space Center in Alabama.
Oh, now you're just showing off. You're talking about Huntsville, Alabama?
Yeah, that's the one. I remember the trip okay. This is going to be the problem is I don't remember these trips really well, but I remember going. I remember eating some astronaut ice cream. I remember hearing adults talk a whole lot. This was like pretty common with field trips was you got to take your medicine with your everything else. So the medicine was listen to adults talk a lot.
How like life.
Yeah. And then get to touch stuff. And I don't really remember the museum or like all the stuff we did that well. I remember the astronaut ice cream though, and I remember being very disappointed with it, and just being like, "Boy, that sucks."
Yeah, see, that's the thing. My brother, my older brother Noah, see, he went to public school a few more years than I did. I guess he probably went all the way through like 4th or 5th grade, and that's when you took that field trip. So my brother actually did get to go.
Oh.
And then because I was homeschooled, I didn't get to go, which really sucks. But I remember him coming back with some astronaut ice cream, which was kind of like eating flavored styrofoam.
Yep, that's what it was. It was like provide your own moisture type of thing. It just sucked the moisture out of your mouth. Like, yeah, not fun.
Got to save up a bunch of spit or borrow some from a friend to make that make sense.
Yeah. I do remember, though, when we got home from that trip, I went back home and that night watched the episode of X-Files with the two clone girls, if anybody knows what I'm talking about. So I do remember that well. I don't remember the rest of the trip so well, except for the astronaut ice cream.
Dude, stuff like that, I'll tell you what, man, like those kind of recollections about the fact that you guys went to this space museum to explore and better understand how humans were able to evacuate the planet that we've lived on for our entire fucking history and go to another place, go to the depths of space as brave explorers. But as kids, we were like, astronaut ice cream.
Yeah, that's all you
like,
care about.
That's what we really focused in on. Like, kids are on drugs all the time, I guess.
Absolutely.
Is what I'm saying. Did you get to do the like gyroscope thing? Because I always remember seeing on commercials, like they'd strap kids into that. You're kind of like splayed out like a pentacle, and this gyroscope kind of flips around.
Yeah, that was for actual space camp. Like if you were one of the kids that was there for 2 weeks or whatever. Yeah,
okay.
They didn't just let field trip kids do that. I think because you probably had to sign waivers and shit.
I always remember thinking that looked decidedly not fun at all.
Yeah, it never looked fun to me at all. I was not interested.
No, that didn't seem like the thing to me, man. So, oh man, that's cool. Now, how does this tie into Space Jam? Did you do any Space Jam while you were out there?
Let's see. Everybody got up. It was time to jam now. We did have a real jam going on.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. Welcome to the Space Jam.
Wow. That's really something, Steve.
How about you, Ben? Tell me about your field tripping.
Well, Steve, I'll tell you what.
I'm excited.
You know, homeschool these days, I'm sure, is very different than it was back when I was a kid. You know, in the late 80s, early 90s, when we were doing homeschool, that was when it was still a pretty unique thing. I think a lot more people are doing that now, and I'm sure that things have evolved in a way that they are maybe a little better organized than some of the stuff that we did. But you know what, Steve? We were making memories. We made memories, including this one time that as part of a homeschool field trip, like us and a bunch of other homeschool families that were part of our area there, we took a field trip out to a family that we knew that lives way off in the hills of Sneedville, Tennessee.
Oh, wow. That was the trip? You went to Sneedville?
We went to Sneedville. Now, for those of you that don't live in East Tennessee, which is, I'm going to assume most of you, whatever you imagine when you hear the word Sneedville, that's exactly what it is.
That's
You're
it.
right.
It is that.
Sneedville. Yeah. They have a traffic light and a Hardee's, and I think they just got that about 10 years ago. That's it.
Yeah.
So we went to check out this family that lived up on a farm way off in the hills, like no, indoor bathrooms. They had an outhouse. They had goats and chickens and lived off the land. Later on, we found out they were Holocaust deniers. They didn't have Social Security numbers because they were all born at home. Real fun stuff. Just fun,
so wait, this
salt
was
to the
like,
earth, wholesome people.
This was like homeschool ideal. They were like, look, kids, you could be this.
Now that I think about it, I'm not exactly sure what the purpose was. I don't know if the purpose was, this is an option. Maybe this. I don't know. Yeah, now that I think about it, I'm not really sure what the purpose of the field trip was. Maybe it was to be like, you know what, kids, you guys complain a lot. Look, you could live out here and not even have a Social Security number and have parents that deny that millions of Jews died during the Holocaust. You've got it made, kid. It did make me grateful.
Man, that is an interesting just concept in general. Taking kids to Smeadville.
Yeah, taking the kids to
show
Smeadville.
them a family of potential assassins? I don't know.
And the thing about it that I particularly remember, this is something that I took from that trip that has just stuck with me to this day. I have like a borderline like fucking phobia of driving near vertical hills in my car.
Okay.
I have nightmares about this. Like I have recurring dreams about driving my car up a really steep hill and it losing traction and sliding backwards, or like even like falling backwards, in a physical improbability. Recurring nightmare of mine. It started at this field trip.
Okay.
At the time we were babysitting a neighbor's little baby, and this baby had like the colic where it was just crying 24/7, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's a great idea to put that in a car with me and my mom and my brother. And the driveway to get up to this farm commune place was a gravel road that was just, it looked like the goddamn aggro crag, just straight up. And we were in my mom's little Ford Taurus wagon, old Gertie, which was always on its last legs anyway, and could just barely even, drive to the grocery store anyway. So, of course, you want to be in that thing with my mom, who's a very nervous driver anyway, and a screaming baby going straight up this hill, and the car, like, maybe about to give out on us. That is absolutely the source of that phobia.
Wow. Yeah, that is
it's a good souvenir, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Permanent life
you brought
trauma.
Something home with you.
Also, too, one time while we were out there during that day, we were walking on a trail, and there was like snakes and stuff on the trail, and I was walking behind a kid who, like, everybody ahead of him, had pulled aside this like it was like a thorn branch of some kind that was like blocking the path. Everybody kind of pulled it aside. Then whoever's behind you passes and you let it go. Well, the kid that was in front of me just like let it loose, and boing, it like snapped back and just shredded my flesh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So that was fun. That's
Hooray!
A homeschool field trip, baby. Woo! I learned, I don't know. Steve, what's your next one?
All right. Well, we did this more than once, but we went to the Museum of Appalachia.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Museum of Appalachia is not far from where I live currently. It's
my wife told me that was a popular field trip destination.
Yeah, and no, I never dreaded when we got to go to the Museum of Appalachia. Like other things, like when we went and saw Swan Lake when I was in 3rd grade and I fell asleep. That stuff was just like, why would we do that? But Museum of Appalachia was like, awesome. They have stuff. Mostly it was because of the souvenir shop, because they had little like pop guns and they had like beef jerky and stuff like that.
Are you thinking about a Cracker Barrel gift shop, Steve?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except it smelled more smoky.
Love it.
Which was awesome. Yeah. It's the whole area, Museum of Appalachia, just smells like a great campfire. They show you how they used to make soap in this area. They tell you some of the history, etc. All of that was, whatever. It really was about going to the gift shop, getting, whatever, a train whistle, maybe, whittled out of wood.
Very nice.
Yeah, those things are loud as hell, too. So when somebody would get one and then would be blowing it on the bus on the way back, one of the teachers obviously would take it. It was an inevitability. But Museum of Appalachia was awesome. I never retained anything, honestly, from going there, except really loved going to the gift shop and really loved, like, that we were just outside most of the time. That was the worst thing about field trips, was when they would take you in and make you listen to adults boringly talk. It's like, I want to run around. Isn't this about running around? So Museum of Appalachia was always perfect for that.
Awesome, man. Maybe it's not too late for me to go. Maybe I can take a grown-up field trip.
Yeah, it's in Clinton, not far away. Check it out.
All right, well, I'll scope that out, man. I don't know if it's going to be as memorable as my number 2 field trip I have here on my list, Steve. Now, this is one that I remember very vividly from my childhood because, we were broke. We were real poor. growing up. Money was tight. Money was real tight. But this one year, my mom managed to scratch together enough dough to take me and my brother somewhere that probably my mom just kind of wanted to go to, and go to Biltmore in Asheville, North Kakalaki.
That was my next one, so we can just talk about it together. Awesome.
Fuck yeah, man. Okay, awesome.
Biltmore's great.
So, my experience with going to Biltmore, my mom had been before with some friends, and she had, like, shown pictures and stuff, and I actually thought it looked kind of cool, because, like, that was right during that era of, like, Beauty and the Beast, and, like, big haunted castles and mansions and shit. That was kind of interesting to me at the time, so I was excited to go. And my mom packed my brother and I into the car. Of course, the car didn't have no air conditioning. I don't think cars back then just regularly had AC.
At least not poor people cars, yeah. Because from my, I'm thinking about it. From my perspective, I think it was like the mid-90s the first time I was regularly getting in cars with AC. So
it's the first time you were blown in a car.
Right.
So we rode up there with the winders down. You know, you got that 240 AC, right? Two winders at 40 miles per hour.
That's right.
We rode up there, and, you know, old Gertie, this is Gertie again, my mom's Ford Taurus station wagon that we had. I'm sorry, it wasn't a Taurus. It was an Ford Escort station wagon.
Okay.
Which had an exhaust leak, so we were just breathing in some gas fumes pretty much the whole way up.
Fuck.
We get there, we park, we get right inside. My brother is like, I don't really feel very good anymore. Throws up. We pretty much immediately turn around and leave.
What?
Yeah. My brother got just fucking sick from inhaling gas fumes, I guess, in the front seat the entire way up. And probably all that mountain driving stuff, too. It's really twisty getting up there from here.
There's a lot of twists and turns on the way up there, yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
So you didn't actually get to go. Have you gone since as an adult or anything?
I have, yes.
Okay.
I went basically for the first time, it's probably like a year and a half ago with Lindsay and Thomas, and it was great. We had a really, really fun time checking it out and stuff. Like, as a kid, I remember going up there and, like, seeing, like, Napoleon's chess set.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. That's the one thing that really stuck with me was Napoleon's chess set.
Mm-hmm. And by about that point, it was like, and brother threw up. Time to go home. I bet my mom was so fucking let down, man.
So you've been down to, like, the gym and, like, the pool and stuff since.
Yeah. Way spooky and cool.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah, it was a good time, man. I had myself a good time whenever we finally went and, like, revisited it. I'd like to go and see it at, like, Halloween and Christmas and stuff, too. I think that'd be neat.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they do decorations and stuff. That'd be fun. The thing that blew my mind about the pool was that it was all deep end. It was like 12 feet deep. The entirety.
Yeah, not for amateurs.
Nope. It was like, can you swim? I guess you're drowning then. Sorry.
Yeah, I think they were specifically using that to breed Victorian ghost children, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
This is a ghost breeding pool. This is where we drown the children to make ghosts for the grounds.
Yeah, Biltmore, though, is... I would like to go to the vineyard and stuff. I haven't gone as an adult, but there's a lot of cool stuff to do there as an adult. But even as a kid, I was just like... I think maybe I was old enough at that point that I was, like, actually genuinely interested in it. So it was fun.
Well, dude, I'll tell you, if you ever get to go... I have kind of like a secret joke I want to drop on you that you should tell everybody there that's working and stuff, because I'm sure they've never heard this. And if you go up to them and you say, built more, I think they could have built less. They love it. They love it.
What? Never heard that one. Yeah.
No. Wordplay. Wordplay's nasty.
So, I guess both of us had the same number 3. I'll go ahead with my number 4, Ben, and this one's gonna get you. The American Museum of Science and Energy in Oak Ridge.
Oh, shit. Wait. I think I went there.
Did you
That's
go?
on my list.
Okay.
The Oak Ridge Science Museum, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Heck yeah, awesome. So that's actually one of the ones I was going to say that, like, homeschool really pulled it together, and I went to that as well. That was going to be the next one on my list, because it's fucking awesome.
Similar places. Good. So
that's crazy.
Did you get to put your hand on the ball that made your hair raise?
Fuck yeah, my bowl cut was pointed up in every which direction, dude.
That's awesome.
It was killer. Like,
yeah.
Okay, one thing that I vividly remember from it is there was that room where it would, like, take a picture of your shadow, like, freeze your shadow on the wall.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I don't remember too much about it aside from the shadow on the wall thing. But the thing that really sticks out in my mind is afterward we went to the mall there in Oak Ridge.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be real funny to buy condoms. Because it was like 7th or 8th grade, and I was like, this will be funny. And I bought condoms, and it was funny. People were like, Steven bought condoms. But I bought the cheapest ones they had, which were unlubricated, which then someone quickly pointed out, did you buy unlubricated condoms? And I was like, yeah. So suddenly I'm the joke.
He doesn't even know what he's doing with those dong bags.
Yeah, I had of course not. Who knows? We're in 7th grade. You should not know.
Oh my god, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
that's
funny.
awesome. We both went there. So, did anything else happen? Any fun homeschool stuff?
Nothing noteworthy, honestly.
So
there was
just like
there was no car
field trip.
sickness. Yeah, it was actually just like, oh wow, this is really cool and fun, and I really enjoyed it. And Oak Ridge and the nuclear program and all that kind of stuff. That's a little piece of East Tennessee history over here.
Yeah. They also had some of the best pizza you could get in the Knoxville area for a long time. Big Ed's Pizza.
Over at Big Ed's, that's right, man. That's
still
right.
Good.
I'll tell you a cool piece of Oak Ridge history too. You remember, like way back in the day, if you see any photos of Oak Ridge from like the 40s and 50s and stuff like that. Like there's that kind of logo that they used for the Oak Ridge nuclear stuff that was like, it was like two women's hands with like an atom like floating above them, like she was like holding the atom.
Right.
Those hands belong to my great aunt P.
What?
She was the hand model for that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Pretty crazy stuff, man. She's long gone now. She's been long deceased, but she was a fucking pistol. That woman was awesome.
Well, she could hold individual atoms, so that's pretty amazing.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah. I don't have like a lot of family members that like I really, really, really enjoyed being around and stuff, but Aunt P was a badass, man. She was awesome. Yeah. And she held that atom and she held it high.
So Ben, what's your next one?
Okay, my next one here. Now this is one of those things that like this is a definite old school homeschool thing, but this is also kind of like probably one of those things you can relate to if you're like Southern and poor and taking vacations and field trips and stuff like that was a stretch. I think this was honestly more of a vacation, but it had field trip elements to it. Now, the kind of trashy element that I'm talking to is whenever you're broke and you have a neighbor that's going to see like their sister or somebody over in Kentucky. Right. Sometimes you just ride along with them and occupy yourself and check out stuff while you're there.
That's a field trip.
That's a field trip. Exactly right. We went to Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we checked out like the Gettysburg Museum and like reenactment village and stuff like that. Where you had like folks churning butter and tanning hides and just doing stuff that's really boring when you're like 7 or 8 years old. And there's actually some VHS footage somewhere out there. I don't know if my mom still has it or not. Because somebody that we were with had a VHS camera and documented young Ben and his bowl cut and likely Jorts just being a extreme weirdo, just being fucking weird as all hell. Right. There's footage of that floating around somewhere, and if I ever come across it, I would love to put that out there for the internet to enjoy because, shocker, I was not a normal child. Yeah. And there's definitely some footage of me just romping the grounds of Gettysburg, being a little strange kid.
Which side did Jesus fight on, Mom?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
I just remember it being like extremely boring. Like I could not have cared less about anything that was going on there. I've never really liked American history anyway, but I think even less so then.
Well, Ben, my last one is going to be a little bit of a bomb I'm dropping on you that maybe you didn't think about.
You dropped a bomb on me, Steven.
I remember this trip pretty freaking well because I was a grown-ass adult. This was when we were at Walter State Community College.
Fuck. I wonder if it's the same one I have for mine.
The art club went to the High Museum in Atlanta.
You're goddamn right. And then we ate at a Red Lobster on the way home.
It was awesome, man. It was a fun time.
The Red Lobster was probably the worst part of the trip.
Oh, yeah. Red Lobster was definitely the worst
part. Dude, like, I had actually sort of forgotten about that until I started compiling this list, and I was like, oh, I actually did go on, like, a bona fide field trip in college, because you're right, the art club and stuff, we all packed into a bus and headed that way, and it was fucking great, man. It was really, really awesome. I think that's when you kind of actually introduced me to, like, the actual appeal of, like, shit, what am I thinking of? Like, color field. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
There was a pretty good exhibit. I love color field painting, man.
Yeah. You're one of them Rothko boys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've gotten to see more Rothko. That was the first time I got to see any Rothko stuff, like, in person. I've gotten to see a lot more since and gotten even more into it. Just like, wow. I know it's simple and stupid, and I know a lot of people would be like, that's robot painting. It is robot painting. I'm a robot, and I like it.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I didn't understand until I saw it in person on that specific field trip is, like, when you're looking at, like, a, postage stamp sized photograph of a color field painting in a book, it does literally nothing for you. But when you're standing in front of one of these things and it's your entire field of vision, like, even your peripherals are full of just this color or this color gradient, it's almost like this weird sense of, like, sensory deprivation where you're just like, all that I see is a color. It's almost like having your eyes closed, only it's a color instead.
And anybody who's done any painting knows how hard it is to maintain a single color consistency.
Oh, Lord,
and a lot of those color-filled paintings are gigantic, single, consistent colors.
Yep.
That's such an amazing feat.
And I just didn't get it until I saw it in person. And that was also just such a fun trip for me, too, man, because, again, just because of the way that I grew up and stuff like that, the field trips that I had gone on were with conservative, homeschool, weirdo people. And then to get to go on a field trip with a group of liberal, weirdo art people, it was so refreshing because it was just like, wow, everybody here is cool and is into the same stuff that I'm into. It was just like a really lovely, like, oh, this is why people enjoy these things.
Yeah, I mean, who was there? We had old Holy Fard was there.
Holy Fard. I think Kia was there, too.
Autumn was there. Yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah, Autumn of the Sea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was also, for me, though, I mean, because I had done some high school field trips and stuff, but that was the first time I'd ever been on a field trip with a bunch of people that I actually liked.
Right, yeah. It makes it a lot better, shockingly.
It's really fun.
Yeah, that right there was definitely a really good time. My favorite field trip that I've been on, for sure, without a doubt, man. I'm looking forward to hearing what our listeners' most memorable, for better or worse. I especially want to hear about the worst ones.
Yeah, the worst is really usually the good stuff.
Yeah, they're more entertaining. Let us know about those over on the Facebook group, which you can join up and hang out with the cool boys, with them Rothko boys.
Facebook.com/Dead and Lovely.
/Rothko boys. BOIS. Hang out with the cool kids. Look forward to hearing about your old stories and stuff there. And I've been looking forward to talking about this movie since I seen it the other night. Now, Steve, you told me about Little Monsters a month or two ago because you happened to stumble across it and watch it then, and you're like, man, it's a barrel of good things that are in a barrel. And I was like, I like how that sounds. And I got to tell you, man, even with that glowing recommendation, it exceeded expectations. I had just a wonderful time watching this flick. I think that it is one of the better horror comedies that I've seen in a really, really long time, man. And I feel like, too, considering some of our recent picks that we've done on the show, like, let's say Arachnophobia, for example, are like, oh, it's a horror comedy, and it's like, it's not really all that horror. It's also really not all that funny. So it's just, this was a good palate cleanser after some of that stuff to me.
Yeah. I want to talk a bit about horror comedy, actually, because we just did Young Frankenstein, which that's where the debate hinges, I guess, because I our good friend and your wife, Kate, pointed out that she did not think that Young Frankenstein really is a horror comedy because of the horror part.
Mm-hmm. Hot take.
It's a good take. I think horror comedy is, as a genre, the most hot and cold, or the most black and white on either end, because what you have is either black comedies, just dark comedies like, say, Cabin in the Woods, that are solid, pure horror films, but also comedies.
Yeah.
And then you have things like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, which is like a spoof or a parody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a scary movie kind of falls into that too.
Yeah, like the only horror element is Frankenstein. And the Abbott and Costello are scared. But there's no real horror. Same with Young Frankenstein. Like, you never get scared. The only horror element is that the monster is there. But nothing about it is scary. So this is one where it's like, fits the romantic comedy genre and horror. So if it's probably closer to the dark comedy area of horror comedy. I don't think anybody would debate that this isn't horror comedy, because
there's blood and gore and guts and zombies.
It's all there. Yeah. I can see though how people have trouble with the spoof and parody side still being considered horror, because the horror is kind of gone there. Mm-hmm. But with this, it's still very clearly there. This is part of a subgenre that is real important here, Ben. The rom-zom-com.
Rom-zom-com. That's just fun to say. That's just good fun.
Yeah, the first advertised rom-zom-com, of course, was Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, yeah. We did that on the show many moons ago. Check out that back episode.
And you see, like, the focus of the movie is Shaun's relationship. But there's also a huge zombie outbreak. Like, that is how those things come together. There's a confluence. You have others like Warm Bodies, which is about a girl who's in love with a zombie. You have Life After Beth and Burying the Ex, which is, they're both dealing with what do you do if your person you're in a relationship becomes a zombie.
Yeah.
The zombies serve more to push along the romance.
Yeah, true. That's what pits our characters together and makes them band together and get to know each other better and develop their relationships and stuff. But they're not exactly the focal point of the movie as they are in, say, like a Romero flick or something.
Right, yeah. So I like that. I don't know how far you can take the rom-zom-com, because I look at all those titles I just said and like,
kind of similar.
Yeah, they're all kind of similar. This is kind of similar to Shaun of the Dead in a lot of ways, except it never has any moments of pure seriousness, I don't think. Yeah,
Shaun kind of gets real there towards the end. This maintains levity throughout, which I appreciate it personally.
Even when the U.S. Army guys are considering killing kids, it's still a joke. Like, that, not even, like, no, there's no guy holding a rifle with a tear going down or anything. It's like, it's still a joke. This is all still funny. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I like that it maintains that tone throughout. It's silly, it's funny, and all that stuff.
Yeah, and the thing about this movie that I think works so well, too, is that I think that it really knew its identity and how to take itself and how long it should stay around and how serious it should be, because it's like you said, it never gets super mired down and like, fuck, I have to kill my mom who just turned into a zombie. It never gets super muddled down in that, but I also don't feel like it suffered because of that.
No, it just keeps a fun, light tone.
Yeah, exactly, man. And it's only like an hour and a half, maybe?
Yeah, just like an hour and a half. It's like, it never drags. There's never a point where I'm like, this is too long, or why is this happening? It's all just like quick, to the point, funny. Each scene has like humor to it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and like the thing about it is too is it doesn't get super bogged down with explanation or exposition at all. Like,
not at all.
And the thing about it is like, I feel like that's this movie knowing who's going to be watching it. Like, if you're watching this movie you probably already like zombie movies and stuff like that, and you don't really need to be told. Like if you're watching a Batman movie, we don't need to see fucking Martha clutching at her pearls and shit. Like,
no, we
know.
We've seen it so many times. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing that like Spider-Man Homecoming did so well. Don't give us the origin story. It's fine. We know. Just get going with the story. And with this, it's like, there's zombies because there is. We don't care. Just give me the zombies. Give me the horror comedy and romance elements and stuff like that. I don't need the explanation, and that's fine. Because as a horror fan, I'm just like, there's zombies because there are.
Yeah,
who cares?
I like the way that, like, in the background, if you just pay attention what's going on with the U.S. Army in Australia, they've apparently had other zombie outbreaks before.
Yeah.
Like, there's no explanation of what's going on, but they're obviously doing experiments on them and stuff. Like, but all of that's just in the background. They never take any time to explain it, because this is about kindergartners going on a field trip and two people who probably would never coming together.
Oh, yeah. And it's really about that character arc and that growing as a person angle that we get from our main character, Dave, who through like 3/4 of the movie is just an insufferable fucking man-child, you know? And the thing about it is like, I feel like he's not the only one, because even Josh Gad's character in this too is also just a horrible fucking prick of a man-child character. And you look at the title of the movie with it being Little Monsters, and you're like, is it the children? Is it the zombies that are monsters? Or is it these fucking grown-ass men that are little monsters? Like, in reality, Lupita Nyong'o, as the teacher in this, is surrounded by little monsters of all different kinds.
Right. Yeah. She's the only non-monster kind of. Yeah. The kids are so freaking adorable. Dude,
the kids in this, I'm telling you, like, I generally hate children of any kind.
Right.
But whenever they're good, like a couple of our friends' kids, I know, of course, I'm always going to be biased towards my friends' kids and stuff like that, but we got some friends that got some kids that are just like...
they're awesome.
Fucking, I want to put them in a Pokeball and just carry them around all the time, you know?
Yeah.
But there's something about specifically non-American kids
that can
cute. Be so fucking adorable. Yeah, because these are little Aussie kids, and dude... There's so many moments in here where they have such funny little fucking lines, and like their little curse word song that they sing.
Oh, that's so adorable.
The one kid, I think it's Felix, is constantly explaining what a douche is.
Yeah, because Dave explained it to him, which is, I just love, like, because the kids the actors come off so genuine. They come off as just like, this is just a kindergarten class. Like, it doesn't even feel like they're being told what to say or whatever. And Felix in particular, he does so well at being like that little sponge that kids are, just absorbing the things that his cool uncle does and wanting to be cool like his uncle.
Totally, man.
Really great writing, I think, for like, because like that's just how it is. Like he's got this mom who obviously loves him and cares about him, and he's really happy with his mom. But Uncle Dave comes around, and he's something different, and he's cool, and he's like, you know, grown up or whatever. The kid doesn't know that, in fact, he's not grown up, and he's very much a man-child.
Yeah, totally, man. He just knows that he's the guy that plays guitar and lets him play violent video games and stuff like that.
Yeah. So, I think that the kids do such a great job in this, and specifically, like, Felix, and the way that, like... The way that they play his character out is also really good, because as you were saying, like, who is the little monster? Like, Dave says to Felix, like, right at, you know, after he's had that conversation with Miss Caroline, and obviously, you know, he's becoming more mature. He has that, like, moment with Felix where he's like, what does he call him? He says, "You're the bravest, most confident person I know."
Yeah.
And what he's saying is that Felix is not afraid to be who he is. Like, he has all these allergies. He's allergic to every single thing, and all these kids are mean to him and stuff. But he's still, like, happy and does his thing. Like, he doesn't let it get him down.
That's true.
And Dave is the opposite. He needs everyone to approve of him, and he needs everyone to like him and stuff. And he's just acting like a child, even though he's this grown-ass man who needs to make a decision on who he's going to be.
Right. Yeah, for sure, man. And it's cool, too, because you see elements in this movie where it's like, yeah, even though they are just kids and stuff, they still have skills and things that they know and things that they understand that are useful in these situations. Like, I love how the whole, like, tractor scenario comes back around and is like, actually Felix's interest in tractors and how he knows everything about tractors and how Dave doesn't know shit about how to drive a tractor. Like, that actually comes back as, like, an important part of the storyline.
Yeah.
I like that about the movie, too, where it's like, it's not just dunking on kids, being like, kids are dumb, adults are smart.
Right. In fact, it's saying a lot of adults are really dumb.
Yeah, totally, man. But at the same time, it's like, everybody kind of learns stuff from everybody in this, where even, you know, like the shooty games that Dave lets Felix play and stuff, that even comes back to be like, oh, like in the shooty game, you got to shoot the zombies. Like,
right. And not be scared of them because they're not real.
Yeah, exactly. It's like everybody's kind of learning from each other as they go along here, except for probably Josh Gad's character.
Yeah, Josh Gad's character doesn't learn a single thing. He's the worst. And also a great character. Like, Josh Gad plays him so despicably that it's awesome.
Oh my God. He's so immensely hateable. And that's another element, too, of this movie that I think is really well played. Like, I said the tractor thing a second ago. That's like some great foreshadowing that happens in the movie where an element that you thought wasn't going to be all that important or was maybe even just used as a temporary gag earlier actually turns out later to be very important. I love with Josh Gad's character, there's all that stuff with the puppet, like his puppet guy, and like the puppet hole at the top of the van that they're in. Yeah. That later comes back to be important and relevant too. Even like the Vader stuff. Off. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. That puppet. I'm telling you, it's one of those things that, like, yeah, I understand that that's unrealistic or whatever.
But it's hilarious.
But it's great. Yeah, it totally works in that moment, and it was really funny. Even Felix's, like, Vader fascination, like, that comes back. Him using the Force on that gate and shit, like, so cute, man.
It's
that
adorable.
Kid is just fucking adorable.
Yeah. I love the puppet. Emily pointed this out. I hadn't noticed it when I watched it before, but when they're shooting all the zombies at the end, the puppet gets shot and it looks like brain matter comes out.
Nuh-uh.
Yes.
That's so stupid. I didn't notice that.
It's hilarious. Like,
that's fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, there's just so many really good moments and like hilarious moments throughout. I had so much fun with this, but particularly Lupita Nyong'o is so good in this.
Oh, dude. She is absolutely amazing and gorgeous and really somebody that I can't wait to see really anything that she's in at this point. She's really chosen some sick roles to be in. Yeah,
because this is one where it was like, when I saw that she was in it, I was like, I don't know if I've seen her do just comedy. And that's what she's doing here. I mean, she's the straight man, I guess. Like, she's the one who has to keep it together all the time for the kids. But by doing that, she's facilitating so much other humor. And then there's also the scene where she, like, jams that broken rabbit into, what's his name? Teddy McGiggle into his side. And she's like, you are gonna stop fucking saying fuck. Like, she's just, like, all up on him. Fucking intimidating as hell. She just goes from that real sweet kindergarten teacher to, oh shit, she's gonna kill you in a second. It's great.
Oh yeah, dude, she whips out the big mom energy so fucking well in this, where she is so like kind and caring and like understanding and accepting of all those kids and stuff, and just like the most ideal best teacher ever. And then she will turn on a dime and fucking put these people in their place or start decapitating zombies with shovels and stuff. Dude, she'll get fucking hardcore at a moment's notice. That whole scene where she had to like run and get the other EpiPen, which again, more foreshadowing earlier in the movie and stuff. All the like little beats are set up very well earlier in the flick in this. But that scene where she has to like run and get the other EpiPen and it's just her alone and tons of zombies and stuff. It was so fucking tense, man.
Yeah.
Like, that really was, like, a great moment that reminded me of Shaun of the Dead, where in Shaun of the Dead, yeah, it's funny and it's kind of aping horror movies and stuff, zombie movies, I mean. But then at the same time, it has real moments of tension. That moment where she had to run out by herself, I was genuinely like, oh shit, she's fucked. But then, because she's a badass, makes it through it.
Yeah, she decapitates 4 dudes with a shovel. Pretty awesome.
Yeah. But also, she's also got a weird backstory of her own where I guess she was stalking Hanson.
Yes, I loved that.
What a random beat.
Because like her character could have very easily fallen into I just care about the kids or whatever. Adding that little bit put so much personality into the character where it's like, oh, she was obsessed with Hanson?
Yeah.
So she just loves pop music, like in a way that nobody else really gets, because she's like, she's playing Taylor Swift throughout. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what, man, Shake It Off, that is one of my guiltless pleasures. I fucking love that song, and I don't know why.
It's fine with me. I don't dislike Taylor Swift music. I just never think to listen to it. Like, it's not one of those things I want to listen to.
Yeah, I know it's one of those things that whenever I finally get around to like listening to that, what was that news record that everybody blew up about? Folklore, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody said that was fucking amazing, apparently, and I haven't listened to it because I'm with you. I'm like, she's not really on my radar, and not because it's awful or anything like that. I'm just like, yeah, I just never really think about it. But
very talented musician, great voice. I just don't their draw is not there for me.
Yeah, she seems like a really cool person that is very willing to stand up for her ideas and stuff too. Kate watched that documentary that was on her on like Netflix or something. I think Lindsay or somebody told her to watch it, and she checked it out. Because also Kate doesn't really listen to Taylor Swift either, but I was just like, yeah, I'll watch this documentary. And I was here, I'm probably editing video or something like that, and just got bits and pieces of it, and I was like, man, for one, she works her ass off, but also kind of doesn't give a fuck about standing up for stuff, and I really admire that.
Yeah, all of those pop singers work their ass off. It's real nice when they will actually take some sort of stand. I mean, you know, she's stood up for Nashville and Planned Parenthood and stuff like that, so that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. She also, the producers had been trying to get to the rights to Shake It Off, and just weren't getting anything back from her people, and finally Lupita Nyong'o called her and was like, hey, can we use your song? I really want to use your song for this. And then like explained to her like how much the song meant to her and stuff. And Taylor Swift was like, sure, you can use it.
Oh, shit. See, again, cool. That's like another tick on the cool scorecard for old T-Swift.
Yeah, because this isn't like a big budget movie or anything, or even like a big movie. I don't know that it made $173,000 in the box office, so it wasn't really meant to ever go into theaters, I don't think.
Yeah, that's not a lot of money, really.
No. It was probably always meant for streaming.
I'll tell you what, though, the movie never feels cheap to me because I think the way that they did the special effects and like the kills and stuff like that is
looks
all
good.
Very, very clever and very well done. Yeah, it's like there's not any like huge special effects shots in terms of like when they show the decapitations and stuff she's doing. You just hear the noise and you see a head roll. Like, you don't see an actual head leaving a body. So it's just like, that's a cost-saving measure. But at the same time, I don't feel cheated by it. And also, the zombies themselves are like Walking Dead level. The zombies look fucking great.
They do look really good. And, like, throughout, I was thinking, like the most it seems they probably spent was just on the makeup, because a lot of what they do, a lot of like the deaths and stuff of the zombies, you don't see much. Like you see, like when the zombies kill Josh Gad, you see them rip off his face, but beyond that, there's not a lot of like major moments where you see huge effects. It's just a bunch of people in zombie makeup that looks good. So that's where most of your effects budget goes. And then you have the zombies getting shot at the end, and it was just like they're spurting blood up. It was so fucking awesome, like all the blood. But again, that's not hard to do either. So they really effectively used their budget.
Yeah, I think so too, man. And it's all mainly in one location. It's in that petting zoo, which, I mean, dude, like, if you see the premise on paper of, like, zombies invade a children's field trip at a petting zoo, fucking sign me up. Like, that's great. And I've never seen that before, so I'm automatically on board anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I think by, kind of centralizing those locations and stuff like that, they probably saved a lot of money there too. I just think it's really well spent. Like, this movie never feels like I got shorted out of anything. Nope. Or that they skimped on something that should have been there. Because the gore and everything, the zombie designs and all that stuff, all, I think, look really, really great.
They do.
And, I'll say the same for the humor in the movie. I think that it's really fucking funny.
It is funny.
Like, there's a lot of times in this that I was cracking up laughing, man. Like,
too.
dude, early in the movie when he's at the school and he, like, slams the door on that kid on purpose. Just, like, being a dick. Stuff like that is hilarious. But then, too, man, his whole, like, plan to, take his little nephew and go and drop in on his, ex-girlfriend, and they walk in and she's just, like, fucking that guy.
Rory.
Rory. Dude, all of that shit was so funny and just so, like, the last thing I was expecting to see. Hilarious, man. There's so much funny stuff in this movie. Is there anything in particular that stood out to you that made you laugh about it?
Well, okay. You were talking about the moment where he crushes the fat kid behind the door.
Yeah.
He also, right after that, he's like, Felix, I'm going to go, buddy. Felix! I'm going to go!
Yeah. Just so, like, I want everybody to see the kid turning to say bye to me.
Yes, he was like this will impress her. I'll yell to get his attention. Like, he's just so dumb. I also love when he's like, he tells his sister that what just happened when he took her the Felix over in the Darth Vader costume to his girlfriend's house, and his sister's like, you took Felix to watch people have sex? And he's like, well, not intentionally.
Yeah. It did turn out that way.
Yeah, it did turn out that way, though, yeah.
Yeah, and he's got his fucking band, and he brings that guitar with him everywhere just so he can be a cool guy everywhere he goes and stuff. Like,
he's got it everywhere.
He just sucks. Like, so much of the movie, he is just absolutely a piece of fucking garbage. But, I mean, I really do like the fact that by the end of the movie, this guy's cool again. Like, you're kind of on his side because he grows up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want him to succeed from the beginning, kind of, but you're also like, well, this is not the way for that to happen. Like, you were bad with your girlfriend, you're bad with your sister, and you're bad with your nephew. Like, you gotta get better at being a person, buddy. And he does. Yeah. And that's like the real, like, I think, draw of a lot of rom-coms is watching two people who weren't exactly happy or weren't exactly in a good place coming together and now being in a good place.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man, right?
Yeah, and so, like, this movie shows us a good character arc, and then also shows us Miss Caroline, who we think, there's all sorts of reasons in a rom-com where, like, they'll avoid really adding to the woman character in the relationship, and then it just comes off as this, like, winning a prize type of thing. She, by adding the depth of, like, the Hanson stuff and, like, showing her as the badass she is, like, she's not just a prize to be won. She's this very particular individual, and she likes him for very particular reasons. Like, the relationship makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And she's also not a damsel in distress in this zombie-infested world.
Right.
Like, she's the one that does basically all of the ass kicking.
Exactly. She's the badass the whole time, and everybody else is just catching up.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Yeah, she really is fantastic in this. One element I want to talk about this movie is, with this being an Australian movie, to us people here in the United States, this is a little bit of an outsider perspective of how the rest of the world views Americans, especially the American military. Mm-hmm. How do you think the Americans and the American military were portrayed in this, Steve?
Pretty accurately, but
yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, you know, it is the over the top version of American soldiers, but it's also pretty accurate to what other people have to deal with from us. So yeah, they're trigger happy, and they're about to kill those kids, and then they hear that it's kids, and the general's like, I can't shoot kids again. Like, yeah, it's like the depth of the how do you put it? Hatred of the U.S. military, I would say. That's probably what it is this at least disdain for the world police attitude we've taken on. Is there, but it's always funny. It's never like, it never feels like overly biting satire. It's just like silly. It's over the top, but it's also kind of accurate.
Oh yeah, totally, man. Yeah, it's not just like fuck America or anything like that,
right.
But at the same time, you do get the impression that it's just like, yeah, and the rest of the world, we're just kind of the people that have military bases everywhere.
Yeah, we just have Americans living here on a military base. That's not
weird. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, but like you said, there's all that stuff in there where they're just like, zombies again? Are they fast or slow this time? It's just like, we keep doing the same problems again and again, and also unleashing problems on other places in the world again.
Yeah.
And again.
The outbreak here is very much the fault of the U.S. military. So, yeah. We have unleashed our science experiments on another civilization.
Yeah. Which is one of those things, man, that whenever you get to see this perspective is very, very eye-opening, because I think especially, you know, with us growing up here, especially in the South, where there is a lot of patriotism and pride in America and stuff like that, I think that we have always been told from day one that, like, America is the best place in the world, and everybody knows it. Everybody wants to live here. Everybody wants to be like us. And whenever you get that outside perspective and you realize it's just like, yeah, actually not
true. Nope.
Really.
Nope.
It's kind of shocking to be like, oh, we were just kind of being fed propaganda.
Yeah, we were being lied to
for national
by
pride.
A whole bunch of adults and all of the organizations we were supposed to trust. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just some outside perspective that I think is a little bit refreshing to see. A lot of times we see that in movies, and it's very, you know, satirized, and you get the obnoxious American tourists and stuff like that. But then you realize, like, that's just kind of actually how we are in other places in the world. So
yeah,
it's healthy to have a little bit of outside perspective every now and then to see what the rest of the world actually thinks of you. And whenever a movie is not being fueled by Hollywood American producer megabucks, how they will portray us.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
Hollywood does have to be careful, because oftentimes the military is the hand that feeds them.
Oh, yeah, man.
So they don't get to say all the things they want to say, maybe, or maybe they don't even want to say them. But in this case, they can just be like, this is how we see the military. And it's pretty accurate. Pretty accurate.
One element of this movie that I really enjoyed was the way that Lupita Nyong'o's character turns everything into a game as a teaching exercise, because I think any effective teacher knows that whenever you're having fun, you're learning the best. And also keeping the kids from panicking, you know, by turning it into a game. You could watch this and be like, she's lying to the kids and saying that this is all part of the game. But then you're also like, I don't know, she's kind of keeping this together because kind of no other way to handle it at that point.
Yeah, and they're 5. They can't possibly grasp the reality of the situation ahead of them, and trying to make them do it is only going to lead to chaos and death. So you probably are better off telling a little white lie to get them safe. And then you can be like, later in their life, remember that zombie attack? And they'd be like, oh yeah,
we formed a conga line to escape them and stay together. Like, dude, all the ways that she yeah, seriously. And all the ways that she comes up with to, like, explain what's going on, where you can tell she's like, holy fuck. Like, on the, you know, below the surface level, she's like totally panicking, like, what the fuck do I do? But then up front, she's just like, it's a conga line. We
Yep.
all got to stay together.
Mhm.
And if you get out of line, if one of them touches you, it's like playing tag and you lose. So don't get touched.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All that stuff is just so fucking brilliant, man.
It is. And it's, I mean, that ability, that is something like, you know, I've seen from some parents and I've seen from some elementary school teachers, that ability to really communicate with children on their level is so amazing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like to be able to do that in such a stressful situation. Like, the movie does so much to establish that Miss Caroline is fucking awesome without any of the traditional, like, having her walk in slow-mo with like fuzzy lighting and a big song playing or whatever. Like, that's the way you show value in other rom-coms.
That's how Zack Snyder does it.
I looked at her and I heard a song. In this case, her value is so high. Like, she's talented. She is very good with children. She's very good at her job. She's also very good in a very tense situation. She knows what's up. She can always, like, figure things out really quickly and come up with a plan. She is a badass. Like, throughout the movie, she's established as a badass without ever having to resort to anything cheap. Like, there's no, like, quick cut-ins to her face, like, let's go kill some fucking zombies or anything. Like, she's a badass just by doing kindergarten teacher stuff.
Yeah, they never go full Bruce Campbell on her, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely, man. And one element about her character as well as Josh Gad's character, and I'm trying to figure out how our main character, Dave, how he fits into this too, is we have this element of the face that people show to kids versus the face that they wear when they're not around kids, because obviously Josh Gad being Mr. What's his character's name? Mr. Tiddlywinks or whatever?
Teddy McGiggle.
Teddy McGiggles, yeah. Like, you know, he's this like happy, bubbly, ridiculous children's TV show host, but privately he's like a raging alcoholic that'll fucking drink cleaning products and sex addict and just a real piece of garbage. And then you have, you know, like we said, Lupita, who will be really cool with these kids, talk with them on their level without talking down to them, turn things into games so they can learn better and survive this experience. And then her private face is like, okay, I can be a fucking badass and get these guys in line and be really hardcore. I feel like Dave doesn't really have much of a difference between
he does not have a private, like, he has not figured out that you have to talk to people on their level. He hasn't figured that out yet. And Teddy McGiggle is faking. He knows how to talk to kids on their level, but he hates them. Dave talks to kids like he talks to anybody, which is kind of his appeal for kids, because kids do like to be talked to like adults.
Sure.
But it also makes him bad at actually communicating with the kids. And he starts to figure that out. That's his arc, is that he figures out later, after Felix has had his like anaphylactic moment and they're all like laying down for bed, and Felix's girlfriend Beth is scared, and they do the like the rhyme about the monster or whatever. That's where you see Dave suddenly like able to talk to kids. He starts to see like, oh, what my sister did with me when I was little is what I need to do with them. Yeah,
he finally kind of understands it, and that character begins to grow and understand what he needs to do and how he needs to grow up. And you know, this isn't one of those movies where it's just like, you need to quit playing guitar and be a grown-up and wear a suit. It's not really that.
Yeah, that's not on the line at all. You can play guitar all you want. You can be in a band all you want. But you need to be an adult.
That's right. You need to host a podcast and have a YouTube channel.
Real adult shit.
Yeah, real adult stuff right there, man. Drinking beer is at 4 p.m. and stuff like that. Like an adult.
Like an adult.
Yeah, but I like the way that his character grows without being completely like, no, you don't need to be who you are. You know who you are? Don't be that. Like,
right.
You know, there's a healthy level of growth that we rarely see in movies like this, where somebody is a immature fuck up and they're just told, hey, you need to not be you anymore.
Right.
And that's like not realistic, and that's not how growth really works, you know? I feel like the way his character changes is very organic, where he's like, you know what? I'm kind of a kid myself. I can entertain these kids and talk with them on their level because of that. Like, that's kind of a strength in his case, that he is so childlike in a lot of ways, you know?
Yeah, I've definitely met those people who do that rom-com thing where they're like, I have to become the complete opposite of myself. They're never happy.
No.
And the people with them are never happy because the person they're with is always being fake. And you're exactly right. Like, the character brings the good things along with him. Like, there's a lot of good. He's charming. He's funny. Like, he you know, they don't really show him play songs much, but that one song he played, he seemed to be doing okay. He's got talent.
So, shred it, dude.
Yeah, all of those things are positive. There's no reason to leave those behind. The goal of a relationship is not for two people to become two completely different people. It's for two people to come together and have a relationship together, meaning they relate. They're not the same
that word
person.
is in there, relate.
They are relating to one another. Like, I don't get you. I don't get you. Here's me. Oh, now I get it. That's how you relate.
That is relating. Yeah, by definition, right?
Yeah. So this does a much better job in that rom-com genre of establishing an actual relationship where you're like, oh, okay, I could see them maybe having a relationship after this and it maybe being good.
Yeah, I think so too, man. And I'll tell you what, man, like we're sitting here singing the praises of this movie and like honestly, I don't really have any complaints per se. Like I can't think of anything else I would want out of this, but we are apparently not the majority there because I went on the IMDb.
Let's hear about it.
I started reading on some reviews and man alive, there was a lot of people that really hated this movie and I just don't know what the fuck they were looking for, man. Like a lot of the negative reviews that I was reading, and there are a lot of them, were like, man, this movie was just so unnecessarily crude. So many F-bombs.
What?
I know. And you're like, did you think this was a kid's movie? Like a movie to watch for children?
Like, it's rated
so much
R.
Unnecessary blood and gore. Like people complain about the blood and gore, and it's like you said, yeah, it's fucking rated R. What are you looking for here?
I wish this was just a rom-com about some sweet people. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
those
maybe
exist.
shot for something in the Reese Witherspoon category, I guess.
I wish this was Sweet Home Alabama.
I mean, the thing about it is that was like I read those reviews where I'm like, man, these people are just looking for a different movie, and I can totally see that in myself because I realize I have, not only just with movies, but just with things in general, I have a really bad habit of having an expectation for something about what I expect it to be, whether that be a movie or a menu item at a restaurant or like a guitar amp or pedal. Like in my head, I build an expectation of what I think something is supposed to be, and whenever it shows up and it's not the thing I expected it to be, I have a bad habit oftentimes of being like, well, therefore it's bad. It's not what I expected.
Okay.
Without being able to just appreciate it for what it is. Like, oh, my expectation doesn't really matter. This thing is what it is, and maybe it's perfect for what it is, but it's not my expectation, so therefore I think it's bad or dumb or whatever. I realize that that's a fault of mine, and it's something that I should definitely try to correct, but it makes me realize, man, there's a lot of people like me out there in the world.
Yeah, now that you put it in words, it's like, yeah, I think a lot of people are like that. Like, I think that's why maybe one of the things I hate about previews is I've had so many experiences where people have disliked a preview of a movie that I like, and it's like, well, it's not that, though. The preview's bad. The movie's different. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I think you're right. There are a lot of people that probably are in that same boat where it's just like, well, it doesn't meet, like, you build up what you think it's going to be, so you're expecting those beats. Like, where's this thing? Where's that thing?
Yeah,
and
totally,
the movie's
man.
like, well, I'm not that. I wish I was enough for you.
See, I didn't watch a trailer for this movie or anything, so I don't know if, like, the trailer made it look like...
Maybe so.
It was something very different, and that tainted people's expectations for it, but I just want you guys to know, whenever you go online and you read the reviews for this thing and people are just like, it was just nasty. There was no need for these people to be so crude. He masturbated to a picture. It was disgusting.
I forgot about that. That's so funny.
Oh my God. It's so gross and so stupid, man. So stupid.
Yeah.
But like when you read those reviews, just keep in mind, it's probably people that were just really expecting one thing and they had their mindset on it being that thing. Like somehow this was going to be some kid-friendly zombie movie that was rated R. Like I really don't know what you were fucking looking for here. But I think it really just does everything exactly as it should be. I think that this movie is very well paced. I never got bored at any moment in there. It seemed to flow from set piece to set piece very well, giving me just enough information about these characters and the situation without just completely bogging any flow of the movie down with like, well, there was a virus and the United States government was experimenting with it, and like
there could have been like an opening crawl that explained all that or something, and it's like, why? Like all of this is perfectly understandable. Like I don't need any extra exposition to explain. Boy likes girl, zombies are there.
That's fine. That's enough for me, It's like I don't really need anything further from that. So I think this movie did its job very well. It kept me laughing. It kept me squeamish at some of the gore and stuff in there. Definitely. Even some of the petting zoo gore is very well done
the
too,
guy
by
with
the way.
the quills in his face because he ate the
echidna.
echidna.
That was cool.
Yeah,
that was awesome. I like that a lot. And then like funny shit too, where she puts the scarecrow thing on that one zombie to kind of hide him from the kids.
Yes.
And he comes back later and he's got like the beard and the hat on and shit.
That was really funny.
That's fucking funny stuff. Like that's something that would be in Shaun of the Dead
too. The guy who grabbed her fanny pack off, and we see him several times just walking around with it, like just holding it out, and then she grabs it as they're driving by, as they're leaving. I love.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I already know that our faithful Dead and Lobsters are laughing at our use of the word fanny pack. We're talking about a bum bag. It's a bum bag, isn't it?
Her bum bag.
Oi, it's a bum bag, isn't it?
She called the shot that they needed a drenny penny, and I need any of our Aussie listeners to let me know if drenny penny is what you call that, because that's the
amazing.
Funniest thing.
I like that a lot, man. Now that I think about it, though, it's like fanny pack is obviously very hilarious to the Brits. Bum bag
is funny to us.
It's funny to us. It's just like there just needs to be a better word for that thing, I guess, huh?
Like waist pack. How about that?
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Waist purse. Whatever.
There you go. Waist purse. I want to get a waist purse.
Replace my bum bag with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I just think this is put together very well. And like I said, like all the little foreshadowing elements that were earlier in the movie, I think paid off very nicely. I don't feel like there was any dangling threads at the end of this.
No.
And, at the end of it, it's like there's not like a super wrapped up like, and then there were no more zombies in the world.
Nope. Yep. Yeah, we don't get a like full on conclusion to everything. It's just like,
it doesn't end at their wedding or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like even their relationship isn't set in stone.
Yeah, we don't even know if they're going to have a relationship or anything. Like, there's no indication of that. They kiss at the end, but it's not like we're gonna get married now.
Yeah, and that's totally fine by me. Like, I feel like this movie didn't need anything more than what it gave us. So I don't really have anything to complain about. Do you have any complaints about this?
No, I love this movie. I think it's extremely enjoyable. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's like a 10 or anything, because it's not like the most perfect movie. It doesn't hit all of my buttons or whatever. But as a rom-com goes, and I can't think of many better that really give you two people that you root for and you kind of are like, I bet they would be good together. So for me, this is like, it's pretty high. I'm going to give this like an 8.5.
Yeah. I was thinking 8. Like 8 is where I would put this too. I was like, I would gladly rewatch this again. I don't think that I'm gonna like rewatch it and find new depths to it or anything like that. Like,
no, it's just gonna be fun every time.
Yeah, totally, man. And even a movie like, let's say, Shaun of the Dead, which is I think its closest cousin. Like, there's a lot of things in there where you can pick up on, the 5th or 6th watch where there's all kinds of little details in there that you never really noticed before. I don't think that this has that level of depth, but I also don't think that this suffers because it doesn't have that level of depth. Like, I don't even think this would be better if it did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
So, yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think an 8 is where I would put this thing, and I hope that you guys enjoy it too. Let us know what you think about it on the Facebook, Instagram, and Discord pages.
Yeah, at Dead Lovely Pod on Instagram and Twitter, facebook.com/Dead and Lovely, and head on over to our Patreon, where we have just put up a new Patreon exclusive episode. Woo. And we need you to hear it. We need your input. So head on over there, patreon.com/Dead and Lovely. Become a patron at any level, and you get access to the Patreon exclusive stuff. Become a $5 patron, and you get to throw a movie into the smoking bowl here, and we randomly draw from it and review that movie at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm. That's right. We take a big old puff out of that bowl. We toke on that bowl, and we pull out whatever you put in there, and we just kind of ruminate and puff on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we talk about a movie.
Yep.
Yep. And that can be your movie if you support us at $5 a month. So there.
Exactly.
Now that's a sales pitch. That's a sales pitch right there. I'll tell you that. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode. Next week, we are going to be covering a movie that I am personally quite excited about.
His House. It's on Netflix.
So be sure to tune in next week when we'll be deep diving into that whole thing. Hope everybody out there is staying healthy and stuff. If you can, go out and get that poke, get that vaccination. That way we can get back to recording this show in person, and I can get my fancy ass on stage and play some rock shows and stuff again, as well as just keeping your Meemaw and all them safe. You got to keep your Meemaw and them took care of now. So
yeah,
go out there and get that vaccination. Get a poke if you can.
Get poked.
Get poked, y'all. And be sure to wash your hands.
And your ass.
Tune in next week for the newest installment of Dead and Lovely with Uncle Ben.
And Hollywood Steve.
Bye.
Bye.
I had a dream last night that was fucking amazing, and I'm not entirely convinced that it was a dream. I think it may have even been a vision into an alternate reality.
Okay.
Because in this dream, the British Bulldog, Davy Boy Smith, won the presidential election, narrowly beating out his opponent, Shawn Michaels.
Wow.
This was an actual dream.
I would think people would vote for the sexy boy.
You know, I was thinking that they should vote for the American, because that's the thing. In the dream, the biggest thing I was blown away by is I was like, can a British guy be president of America? Are we going back to Britain?
You know,
what?
All he had to do was be a Republican, and they were like, no, it's fine now. It's good.
Yeah, now it's good. I definitely would have rather had a sexy boy that is not your boy toy.
Yeah.
At the helm.
Your favorite murderer of women.
Yeah. Female murderer, Shawn Michaels. Oh, Shawn! Mr. President! I mean, it would be a lot cooler song to come out to than fucking YMCA, let's be honest.
Absolutely. Oh my God. And they'd get JR to be his press secretary.
I like where this is going.
Yeah.
I think this is a vision of a reality I would like to poke my head into every now and then.